and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man that waits around Middle-earth pubs waiting for people to drop gold rings. It's Nick Rehak.
Hey, how are you?
Imagine that. You are a petty thief, and you are in a Middle-earth pub. You're hanging out, you're drinking from your pint glass, you got some great ale going on, the server just brought you some bread, no knives or anything, no butter, just a slab of bread. Living the dream, right? Living the dream.
Yeah.
When you came in from, long day at work, avoiding orcs, and you're in there, you're slomping on this bread, you're dunking the bread in the beer. People are like, listen, that's weird. And you're like, listen, this bread's a rock. I need to you know what I mean? Like,
Gotta soften this up.
yeah, you see, I have no teeth on my bottom row. That's from this bread. I've learned.
Look at all this stuff's going on.
And all of a sudden you hear crunch in the background. Told you. So stupid. Why am I laughing at my own jokes?
I don't know, because it was good.
So you're waiting around. And so this fella drops a ring. And you're like, oh yeah, another one this week. Buy me some more bread. And you get it, and it's Sauron's ring. And then you're stuck with it. Like, that would be. I would like to see your character on a quest to dump it in a volcano.
It's one of those, like, blessing and a curse kind of things. And I think it would be one of those. I think it would be very similar to The Hobbit's actual tract in that, like, yeah, I can do this, no big deal. And then after a while, it's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. This is where I'm sitting. I'm not going any further. And then you just kind of keep pressing on. But I think that I'm going to sit here and not go any further part would, like, I think I would set up camp at, like, a nice lakeside with, like, a tree, like a little teeny bungalow, and be like, I'm just going to hang out here.
Yeah.
The Nazgul aren't coming by. They don't like water, so.
Oh, yeah. I would go to the island from Willow and then just hang out there.
Okay.
And I would just, because you can't, there's no GPS on the ring, correct?
No, they just know immediately where you are. And so it's probably one of those, like in an old RPG, how if you look at your little map, all of a sudden there's a marker, and it's like, okay, well, let me just aim for that marker and head straight for it. One of those.
What's stopping someone from just burying it under a tree? But then Sauron would still be alive because you need to destroy the ring because their powers are combined. But he'll never get it.
No, he wouldn't. But he would still have his orc army and the Uruk-hai just, like, devastating the world. I think it would just be just like a line of fire and brimstone and hellwrath just through the world until they found it.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, you got to do something about it. What if?
But you're gonna.
Sorry, but what if what if there's two mountains? There's a Mount Doom and then a Mount Doom with an H. And you go to the wrong one. And you're like, man, this was easy. I guess you can simply walk into here. And you throw it into the you throw it into that, like, does it have to be that volcano?
As the ring fall down, doom.
Does it have to be that lava?
I think it's any kind of lava source, but if you think about it, and unless they mention it in, like, the Silmarillion or the Hobbit, there's no other real volcano with lava intense and hot enough in order to melt that ring except for there, right?
It's super hot lava.
Is
that what they're calling it?
Yeah, it wasn't created. It wasn't created and birthed in the fires of Mount Doom.
Probably, yeah. So that's the only.
So it's like you got to go home.
If you threw it in though, Mount Doom with an H, it would just sink to the bottom, and no one would ever be able to get to it then.
Mm-mm.
So you went to the wrong place.
Yeah.
But,
absolutely you did.
But you hit it pretty good.
We nailed it. I mean, that was buckets all day, but all of a sudden you're like, huh. Well, then you pull up the old iPod, just hit the old Daniel Powder, and you had a bad day. And you just kind of walk home, and then it clicks over to Bon Jovi, who says you can't go home, and then that's just it.
I have a question. What if you're having a bad day and you just didn't really think about it much, and then that song comes on, you realize how bad your day has been? I feel like that song doesn't. I feel like if you aren't thinking about it, and then you're like, man, I have had a bad day. Thanks a lot, Daniel Powder.
It's one of those things that just makes it worse.
Yeah.
You know, like if you just had a really bad breakup, and you're like, man, and you're driving around at night, and you can't even look at yourself in the rear view, you tip that away, and then all of a sudden you're like, let's turn on the radio. Hoobastank the Reason comes on, and then it just brings it all out. You're like, it is me. I am the reason why. Like.
And then Not Your Fault from AWOL Nation comes on, and you're like, you're right, it wasn't her fault, it was my fault.
Yeah. I need to work on myself.
It's not your fault, it's my fault, and it took me 40 years to realize this. Better late than never.
There's this
and the Venga Bus comes on. Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. The old man comes out. Old man. You know how? You're talking about burying the ring under a tree. I can just imagine, like, decades from now, there's Uruk-hai with, like, pants up to his waist with a belt, white socks almost up to his knee, and sandals just, like, with a metal detector walking around.
Grumble, 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 grumble.
Bing, 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 bing. Oh, what do we got here? And just digging through with his hands.
Oh, it's the ring.
Finds it, yeah. Well, what do you know?
Bites on it.
It's real.
You hear
It's like, what is
Sauron
it?
goes, ow!
What are you doing?
Gosh.
It's like, what is it? Cornelius from Rudolph, where he's like, ooh, that's their gold.
Does the Uruk-hai speak like that?
That one does, because of the socks and the shorts, like, up to his waist.
New Balance.
There's gold in them there hills. Saruman sent me out to find the ring.
Where am I? And then, like, a drone shot goes all the way up, and you just... I'll never make it back.
This is not my beautiful wife. This is...
Oh, man.
There is water at the bottom of the ocean.
Where's Mount Doom? I love this Uruk-hai. I need to see more of him.
Yeah. What's his name? Does he have a wild... Not wild, because if you think about it, the names in the Lord of the Rings and the characters they give, they're not really they're fantastical. Sure, you have names like Frodo, but then you also have like Sam. And you have very like plausible names.
Yeah. So an Uruk-hai, birthed from the muck of Mordor, comes out. And this is one of the last remaining ones, so it's quite pragmatic. So I would have to say, what's a pragmatic name? Milton.
Ooh. I was gonna say Franklin.
Franklin's good. Well, we both ended with like N, so that's good.
Franklin. Then you can be like
Frankie. Yeah,
Frankie.
Oh, there he is. That guy's fun. That guy's
the Milt Miser.
Yeah, you never say that about
Mr.
a Milton.
Milt Miser. He's Mr.
Hey Franklin, we like you, man. Stay in the back this time. Watch out for those arrows of Legolas. Hey Milton, when this ring goes in that volcano, everything around us is gonna fall. Just take off, man.
The arrows come flying. They're blocking my shoes. Where's Milton? He's looking for an arrow. Puts it in his shoulder. Oh man, they got me.
You're a shrewd
I gotta
one, Milton.
go. Oh, they got me. I gotta go. He's got the whole. He puts the arrow over top of the arrow hat where it looks like he's got one going through his head. Oh, they got me. Oh no.
You should be dead, Milton.
One would think. I'll be back.
So the reason we went on this no, this isn't a tangent. I think if we stayed on topic, that would be a tangent for our episodes. But yeah, the reason we talked about this is you sent me a message one day, and we have done the Purple Rain Tron Legacy draft, we have done the Bathroom Fight draft, we've done the Desert soundtrack draft, and we've also talked about Annihilation, which has one of our greatest Patrick Wilson Stargate Atlantis riffs ever. But that means we've done a lot of them, but we probably, I don't know, it's a good riff. But so you messaged me one day and you're like, what about slow motion scenes that involve somebody diving to catch something or catching something? So not bullet time, not the slow motion walk by from Can't Hardly Wait, not the slow motion from Hard Boiled, not not the slow motion from Run Lola Run. We are talking not Melancholia or Resident Evil 4 or The Host or Peckinpah or Hurt Locker or any of Scorsese's slow motion.
None of his.
We are doing movies where people dive for something in slow motion and either catch it or don't. Human or non-human.
Prefer they catch it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? You had a bad day.
And Daniel Powder reminded me of that. Thanks,
That's
man.
the worst possible
The reason is you. Oh.
Daniel.
You know what, though? I like that, though. I bet you somebody listened to that song and just went, wow, the reason is you. It's me. The reason was me. A song taught me that. I'm very disappointed with my parents.
Yeah. Like, Mom and Dad, you didn't prepare me for this life lesson.
Hoobastank gave me the life lesson.
Well, Hoobs.
Who gave you the money for the Hoobastank CD? You're welcome.
I got it from you, Dad.
So we're going to talk about you pick 5, I pick 5, and these are moments involving someone diving or jumping or catching something in slow motion. And we have some humdingers here. I'm looking forward to this. So I'm gonna let you start. You can start wherever you want. I want to hear your pick. So let's hear it.
I'm going to start with the one that actually inspired this list, and a bit of a spoiler. So, if you hear this part, skip ahead maybe 5-10 minutes, depending on how off the rails we go. Spider-Man No Way Home. The most recent Spider-Man has, to me, the best moment in the film is when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, spoilers, jumps down and catches this iteration, or Tom Holland's MJ. Because in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, he tried to save his MJ, played by Emma Stone, and did not work out. He caught her just a second too short, and it's actually a really aggressive scene. Like, I rewatched it because they're on Netflix. The way her head just whips back and hits, I'm like, oh no. And I can remember in the theater when – because what happens is MJ starts falling, Tom Holland goes for her, like, okay, he's got her. But then all of a sudden Goblin grabs Tom Holland's Spider-Man, knocking him out of the way, and it's like, oh no. Cut to Andrew Garfield, and it's like, here we go. He dives down, catches her, lands, and I'm rolling tears. It's still now. I bought the 4K and I've watched it twice now. Still rolling tears on that moment. It's just such a redemptive arc. It's one of those, I'm sure there was a moment planned or something like that in either The Amazing Spider-Man 3, if there was to be one, or a fourth one. But to know that he finally got that moment, he got that moment, Andrew Garfield got that moment, we got that moment. It just felt so good.
Oh, and you know what's great? As soon as you said you had an idea that started this entire episode, I knew it was Spider-Man immediately, because what I love is you get the fake out. You think Tom Holland's going to save the day, and then Garfield comes out of nowhere. And you know what I'd like too? This is my favorite part. As soon as Garfield dives to save her, he shoots his web, he catches her, she's safe. I did think maybe some stuff falling from the top might smash her. That would be a crazy bit. Like, hey, I saved you, then smush. But I like that there's no complications with Garfield saving her.
Right.
I think it would have been annoying if he misses his web and then he has to do it again. Like, it's so straightforward, redemptive, and then he's really caught up in it. Zendaya's great in the role. It's just a wonderful moment. It is a redemptive moment for sure. And I think Garfield's probably the biggest light source in the movie. You can tell he loves being part of this movie.
Absolutely. And just the joy he brings to it. He's quippy, he's fun, but again, to give him that win is to me, after that happened, I'm like, it doesn't matter how the movie ends. It doesn't matter to me because Garfield got his, and it just felt so good. And like talking about it, it's all I want to do now is when we wrap up is go watch that movie again, because there's just, you see it in his eyes, like he's just like, I did it. Like I finally did it. I saved not just MJ, but I saved myself, and I think when he goes back to his universe, because earlier when they first all meet up, he's talking about how he stopped pulling his punches. He became really bitter. So I think when he goes back to his universe, he has a change of heart. And he's back into like friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm saving people. I'm stopping the bad guys, but I'm not stopping them with my fist. You know what I mean? I'm stopping them with a web.
With my kneecap. No, it's a perfect moment. And too, I was kind of hoping though that he would just throw bread at her as she was falling, and then just kind of laugh about it. Because remember when MJ throws bread at him when he first shows up? He's like, "Will you stop throwing bread at me?" He takes one of those hard loaves from Middle Earth and just whaps her with it. But no, it was a perfect moment. It was a great way for him to kind of get retribution. The Amazing Spider-Man, I watched those movies again, both of them. I had to do a Spider-Man. I've done a couple Spider-Man pieces, and then Rotten Tomatoes is Wrong covered it, and like that movie does not really feel like a movie. Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's fine. I like Garfield. He makes some interesting choices in it. I think that's what makes it the best. But that scene though, when her head smacks, the director said, I made sure to show her head hitting like briefly, just so no one wondered to know that she was dead. But just seeing her whack like that, and then it was kind of cool. As soon as I saw MJ falling, I was like, oh no, are we doing this? Are we? And then Garfield saved her. You're not going to kill Zendaya, but it was good slow motion. It was like two forms of storytelling in one. Yeah, it was like catharsis.
Yeah, and it's for us knowing what happened in the previous films, it's great. But for those that are coming in not knowing what happened in the other ones, there's still this excitement of like, oh, good, someone got her. And then to see that overwhelming, it's like, wow, like this really, it's really effective. And like you said, storytelling on not several different levels, but multiple levels.
No, I love it. What a great first pick. That makes me very happy.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
All right, you ready for my first pick here?
Absolutely.
All right, so this one is from Army of Darkness. And it's the moment when Ash, played by the wonderful Bruce Campbell, who's just an absolute idiot in this movie, and it makes me so happy because he's I never saw these a-holes. He gets kicked into a pit. He goes back in time from S-Mart, gets kicked into a pit, and he is forced to fight a demon, a water demon. This demon gets kicked into spikes, comes back, does all this stuff, and then they start closing spikes in on Ash and this demon to kill Ash. However, before Ash can die, the wise man, played by Ian Abercrombie, takes the chainsaw and throws it down to Ash. And in a span of 8 seconds, Ash jumps up, because he chopped his hand off in the first and second film. He jumps up with kind of, for lack of a better word, what's the best stump of his hand? What's left is just his forearm. I don't want
a socket.
Yeah, something. He just jumps up, and the chainsaw we see spinning in the air, and he jumps up and lands it perfectly in the chainsaw, and it just goes through, sucks right onto his arm, and he defeats the demon. It's just a beautiful moment. It features wonderful chainsaw spinning. There's also a water fight, which I adore. But yeah, it's a great slow motion jump. And Sam Raimi is really good with slow motion. He did slow motion in the Spider-Man movies. And then in Quick and the Dead, there's almost an exact similar scene where Russell Crowe jumps up to catch a bullet, because he's out of bullets in a scene. So he jumps up in the air. So there's 2 scenes in Sam Raimi movies where heroes jump up and catch something. But it's a good water catch. It's slow motion. The thing goes thump right into his hand. It's just so stupid, but it's wonderful that the chainsaw still works. And then I love how everyone cheers after he kills the thing. Everyone goes, yes, when he catches it.
He did it.
Yeah, everyone's so happy in this scene. It just makes me so happy. And Henry the Red's all stoked about it. But yeah, that's mine. Slow motion. And I watched this in So I Married an Axe Murderer, I think one night when I was maybe 12 or 13. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've loved these films. This was my first pick when you brought it up to me, just jumping up in the air and snagging that thing. So that's Army of Darkness, Ash catching his chainsaw.
And it's a great catch because it's all you need, right? They don't overdo it. There's nothing exaggerated about it. Except for the motion of the hand spinning in there. But he catches it, he comes down, fires it up, and he's ready to fight. It's not one of those, he catches it midair, and as he comes down slow, swipes and all this other stuff. No, it's this is the moment, here we go, and then up the badassitude, and away he goes. And it's a really clean slice, very effective slice. And like you said, you get a lot going on. You get a water fight. You get some chainsaws swinging around. And to see a hero swing a chainsaw around, you don't get that a lot. Usually it's villains swinging chainsaws around. Yeah.
You get Mandy, Ash. Not many heroes wield chainsaws.
That's exactly. I think it needs to happen more.
Wow. Captain America.
Captain America swings a chainsaw?
Yeah. Oh man!
That's right. Winter Soldier, when he's doing the ice carving contest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he takes out Baron Zemo before he's Baron Zemo, I guess, because this is before Sokovia. No, is it? Yeah. It's before Sokovia. So
Winter Soldier's before Sokovia.
Yeah, because he meets
before
Sam,
the Accords. Yeah,
because he meets Sam, and then Sam is in Ultron later on with hanging out drinking with everybody.
Oh yeah.
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 They have the ice sculpture thing. He's like, on your left. I'm like, oh,
that's right.
Get over yourself, Captain America. Go take some more steroids. But you know what I do love is about Ash is that he's a total idiot. He can't remember 3 words, but he can take an old car and make a battle tank out of it. He can train an entire group of people in stupid karate. His confidence is so unwavering, but he's such an idiot that I love it. But it's not. He plays it so straight. Yes, Bruce Campbell always wink at the camera. He's such a hammy actor. This isn't Peter Sellers playing Ash, but it's still wonderful, and it's a beautiful moment. So that's my number 1.
And it's so genuine, and I think that's what adds to it.
Oh yeah.
Just that look on his face, oh yeah, get ready, and then he just goes for it, and he's so happy.
All right,
and I'm happy
primitive screwheads.
Listen here, buckaroo.
I love the stupid stuff he calls people. And he gets a rock throw. I love that Embeth Daviditz hits him with a rock. I'm big on rock throws in cinema. Everything I love in a movie is here.
Good old-fashioned bonk. Rock bonk.
Rock bonk.
Rack bonk.
Fellowship of the Ring, they throw some good rocks.
They do a lot of rock throwing.
Yeah. And bread throwing. I just like people throwing stuff. Wow. I learned something about myself today. These are what these episodes do.
It's not about the journey. I mean, it's not about the destination. It's the journey. It's the friends we make along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the stuff we learn about ourselves.
My high school yearbook, they predicted that would be they said that I was the person most likely to realize that he loves people throwing things in movies 2 days before he turns 40. That was my thing in my high school yearbook. Very specific, and they're correct.
That's why your yearbook cost so much, because of how wordy that particular one was. It wasn't just best dressed, class clown, class hunk. It was a lot, and they had to really space it out.
Big font. I had my own page. It was just me thinking.
Not Times New Roman, not Gothic. They didn't do Comic Sans because that was for the class clown.
Yeah. Get away from
Futura Bold, 72-point font.
Yeah. They gave me a full spread. You had to turn the thing sideways to look at it.
And a page flopped out because of how wordy it was.
Oh, gosh. It's like those posters that came in.
Just the most inquisitive, like, oh, yeah.
It's like, and I just did. So whoever wrote that, thank you. It's pretty amazing. All right, so what's your second pick?
My second pick is I'm going to jump around instead of going the reasons why to because the reasons me. I'm going to go with Major League, top of the ninth, 2 outs, and they bring out the wild. It's a very classic slow-mo catch. We've seen it in many sports films. This just happens to be the one where he gets that, spoilers, final strike, and they win the game. It's classic. It's traditional. It's not the football catch, sure, but just a good old-fashioned strike. And what I like about it is it's slow motion, and we get the noise of the crowd kind of dying down, so he's just kind of locked in that moment. But as soon as the glove catches it, bam, we're back to regular speed. I like that it's immediate. Like, okay, the moment's over, you've nailed it, it's happened, and upward and onward, and we're happy. And to see the determination in Charlie Sheen's face, it's just a fun movie all around. It's a goofy, fun movie, too. Like, it's one of those where it was this, Airplane, Blazing Saddles, and I can't think of the fourth one, but it was just those 4 that my father and I would watch growing up. Like, we quote it all the time.
Just a bit outside. Like, there's so many great lines in this. And also, too, Charlie Sheen said that he did some steroids while prepping for this. And his pitching form is really nice. Like, I was reading, like, people judge the pitching form. I hate when things do that, like, Major League Baseball player watches baseball movies and judges actors who have been doing this for 3 months. But yeah, it's watching him pitch, like, he's an athletic dude in this. And then he's getting the strikeout against the big jerk who spits really great, wonderful spit. You see the 101 in the back. It's a clearly defined scene. This is a villain we've seen before. It's actually like a packed stadium. People are going nuts for this, singing.
Yeah.
The glasses. I mean, whoever did the costume design with the glasses, like his whole look is wonderful. So it's
fantastic look.
It's just a great, and like you got Behringer. I love Major League. It's a good movie. I like the second one too.
The second one's fun. I mean, it's not the original, which is fine. It's not supposed to be, but it's still fun. It encapsulates the fun of the first one.
Absolutely. There's a moment in the second one where Thorne, he's in the hospital and he's listening to the baseball game on like a little Walkman that he can hear, but the nurses aren't supposed to know, but he has this British show on, so he's jumping up and down cheering when his team wins. He's like, I love this British stuff. Like, I scream that all the time. I was watching Downton Abbey, the new one. I love it. I was like, I love this British stuff. Like, and then the guy with the marbles, and then he just runs through walls, and what's the fake Omar Epps movie, like Black Lightning and White Thunder, where there's just one of the worst fake trailers ever made. Say, I love Major League too. That's a great thing. We had to get some sports in here. I didn't have any sports movies, so we needed a sports movie in here. I was kind of bummed that I looked up replacements, Varsity Blues, and I didn't really find too many good slow motion catches. So I'm glad you found this.
Yeah, you do the slow motion. I mean, obviously, when you think of sports in slow motion, the first one everybody thinks of is Chariots of Fire, right? Running on the beach, and then again later. But it's all just in capturing that moment. But this one captures just a hell of a catch.
That's a good movie. That's a good movie. 101 miles an hour. His hand's hurting.
That's sore. Sore as the day is long. And what's kind of nice? It being back in the 80s and now, 2022, it's a bit of a time capsule because they're no longer the Cleveland Indians, they're the Cleveland Guardians now. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to look back, see that, have that conversation, and then, learn why. Do you know why they went with the Guardians for their name?
No.
There is, and I'm not making this up, there is a bridge near the stadium. And in the middle of the bridge, there's this huge statue called the Guardian of Traffic.
Oh.
Hence why they're the
It's
Guardians.
not the Costner movie.
Mm-hmm.
Snow Patrol plays during every game. Light up, light up.
And then every time they lose, 'cause you had a bad day.
Ashton Kutcher's co-owner.
Is he?
No, he was in The Guardian with
Oh, geez. Here I'm thinking of the team. I'm like, is he? Did he go in on it? Because he's got all that tech money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got some seed money for sure. But
Kunis has the Jim B money. They're doing great.
she really did the devil's cut, if
Yeah.
you will. The Kunis cut.
The Kunis.
Ooh, that's a very fine line you have to walk saying Kunis cut.
Make that Jim Beam money when he can.
Got the old Jim Beam dollars.
So my number 2, this is a really random one, but I recently, so Jay Cluett and I back in the day covered Encino Man. And during that scene, there's a moment in Encino Man where Stoney and Dave, 2 high school kids who are supposedly dweebs, take a 1,000-pound block of ice, take it out of a hole by using a improvised swing set lawnmower pulley system. They then push it all the way to their back, shed. They put a 1,000-pound block of ice on 2 sawhorses, which is wild. You could have just laid it on the ground, but I guess airflow. But that's a big task. You and I are in high school, Nick. We're not getting that 1,000-pound block out of that thing. But they do it really smart, and I did a whole breakdown. But there's the scene where they discover it, and I really like it. So Dave is digging a hole in his backyard because he wants a swimming pool. While digging, he comes across a bowl, and they unearth it, and Stoney finds it, and Stoney's like, oh, this is a Mysterium bowl. And because he's actually kind of smart, he's like, this is an artifact. He's like, have you never watched like Jeopardy? And he calls it prehistoric Tupperware, which just makes me laugh every time. Like, it's their Smucker's bowl. Like, it's good dialogue. And as he's walking, a earthquake breaks out, and he throws it backwards for some reason. But this is a good moment because Dave runs and jumps on a wheelbarrow, which is already precarious. I don't recommend jumping on wheelbarrows. Ever. Jumps up, catches it. He's a nice athlete, but the scene is 18 seconds long. That bowl is in the air for 18 seconds, and it has good bowl spinning, good like the chainsaw spinning. But it's just a good scene because Stoney gets his moment, then he throws it, then Dave gets his moment. It's decent storytelling, and then Dave lands on the block of ice. He finds it. I mean, I don't know how he's gonna put concrete in a pool and a filter and everything in there, but he dug. The hell's huge, man. This guy, geez Louise. But it's a good scene. And I like the bits about the prehistoric Tupperware. It's a good backwards throw, and you never really see artifacts or Mysterium bowls being thrown in movies, so that's why I'm adding that.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's great hang time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's something you can't teach. That's a natural talent, and you just got to go out there, and, he's a young stud. He's going to go out there and grind it out for you, and he's just going to launch that ball.
Sean Astin's quite athletic in this scene. They talk about how these kids are losers in this movie, but Stoney's really sure of himself. They have really good engineering skills, and Dave is in the air for about 12 seconds. Just snorting. But yeah, he's in just floating up there after jumping on a thing. It's just a good storytelling. It's really random. I mean, but it makes sense for the wheelbarrow to be in there because you've got to cart the crap out. The dirt. But yeah, it's a good scene. There's a Mysterium bowl. That's my number 2 pick.
It's good number 2.
It's long. It's it's 18 seconds. That's a long scene.
But it's good. That's the thing. Some of them could be long and drawn out, and you're like, why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
But this one, it fits, and it's purposeful, and it's pleasant.
Prehistoric Tupperware. Makes me laugh.
Prehistoric Tupperware.
Yeah. So I had to promote Encino Man. Also, read my article on Movies, Films, and Flicks. You'll like it. It'll change your life.
That too.
Yeah. Nick's never been the same since reading it. He sold his house. He's living in a Airstream right now. I mean, that's
living
pretty
his
nice.
Best life.
Airstreams are pretty sweet.
No, especially if you get like the old style looking ones, but you've customized it and upgraded it for like the modern take.
Looks good. My parents' house, there's the Airstream only RV park. You have to have an Airstream to stay there.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They're like the Jeep people of
yeah.
Yeah.
They really are. They're driving through. They do a little wave out the window, but they got to do like a special wave.
They're like the air. They're doing they're rolling like with the homies thing. Like,
my hand is a dolphin.
Yeah.
When I was in middle school, we had a bus driver. His name was Mr. Lou, and I always found myself like kind of sitting in the front seat of the bus. I really liked it for some reason. And I'm watching one morning, and I see him. He kept waving at other buses, right? And I'm like, "Hey, Mr. Lou, how come you wave at other buses?" And this is a visual gag. You're gonna get a kick out of it. So people listening at home, I'm sorry. I said, "How come you wave to people at buses?" He said, "Because if we were in Hawaii, we'd do this." And it's just, it's the dumbest thing. But every so often I think about that. And I mean, this is going to sound sad. It's one of the happiest moments of my middle school career.
I mean, it's a good line.
It's a great line, dude.
Do you say it very confidently?
Just with the grace and skill and bravado of a late 60s, early 70s year old man.
Oh, just crushing
Big
it.
beard.
Tell me your
living his
story.
best life.
Tell me your story.
That's what I want to know.
I like the Airstream wave. You have to start it early, though.
You have to, when you see him in the distance, and it slowly builds, and it gets higher and higher and higher. So you're halfway hanging out the car, and someone's holding the steering wheel for you.
The only movies you can rent are Con Air, The Air Up There, Air Force One,
Airbud.
Airbud, Air America, all the Airbuds.
Now, is it just air, or can they have the word air in there? Like, can they watch Carrie?
Or like Hairspray.
Ooh, Dirty Harry. No, that's 2 R's.
Close
That's 2
enough.
Rs.
Like, people get it.
Yeah, you hear it. It's a homonym, right?
Yeah. R-E. Yeah, as long as there's an A-I-R or an A-R-R next to each other, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arlington Road, they'll allow it.
That's a pirate. That's a pirate air.
Oh,
The
gosh.
R is humid today.
But you can't do
Left
like
him with 1 shot.
you can't do like Abbott's Elementary or anything. Like that's pushing it. Like Ab.
No, that's
Come on now. No, you just want to watch the show. Just stream it.
exactly. Come on, Milton, try harder.
If you want to rent something, it's got to have these letters.
Mm-hmm.
If not, go to Hulu.
And there's a stand at Air Blockbuster, like at the park, and they're just like, "It's what we got." do you,
Can I get the ear up
do you
there
have the new
again?
Pirates movie? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I get Airheads again?
Caribbean
Ooh.
Airheads. I love that movie. I'm set.
Right?
Yeah.
It was early, late 90s Comedy Central. It was like you said. So I married an axe murder. Did you say? You said that
I
earlier,
love
right?
that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I love when he's the Scottish guy. He's like, he's gonna cry huge tears on his big pillow.
SATURDAY. Night. Oh man, I gotta tell you, for years, my wife Megan, I've just plagued her because whenever she asks me what I'm thinking about, I just go, swimming pools. Right, that's my stupid response for 12 years of her dealing with me. I say swimming pools. So yeah.
But she knows it by now, and it's adorable.
Yeah, we're a great couple. Sometimes she even sets me up. You know, hey Mark, you want to watch Air Up There? Yeah. There's no joke there. She just wants to watch it with me. All right, so wait.
It's a win-win.
Wait, whose pick is it now? Is it your pick?
Ooh boy.
How many have
Yes,
you
because I think we just talked about Encino Man, so that's 2.
Okay.
And now we're on to my 3.
Yeah.
Fun fact for you. We are recording this episode July 5th. On this day in 2009, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen was the #1 movie at the box office.
Oh my gosh. Those movies are huge.
Huge. Transformers Dark of the Moon. You ready for this? It was a $125 million budget. Dark of the Moon had a box office of $1.1 billion with a B.
Wow.
Billion.
Wow.
Those were huge. I kind of want to rewatch them because it's been a little bit since I've seen them. But the scene I'm picking out, I dig. It's Transformers Dark of the Moon. This is when there's a huge chase on the highway. All of a sudden, Bumblebee gets a little bop from behind. Sam Witwicky is in Bumblebee. And as they're going, Bumblebee opens up. Sam flies out, but Bumblebee grabs him, puts him back inside, retransforms into a car, and keeps driving. It's really cool. It's a CGI just insanity fest. It's really well done. I love the special effects. I love the music and the editing and all the sound work there. But what I like most, in most of the Transformers films, right, you always have that scene where somebody's falling and it will transform into a robot. It'll catch that person, cradle them, do a roll, and then they pull back, and there's the reveal that they caught the person, right? It's always that. But they finally mix it up, and they do something where they just grab him, here, let me get you inside of me. Let me shelter you, and then we'll keep going and do our thing.
They did that in 5. They did that in 4. You're right. Wow.
Yeah. it's always the little cradle thing, which I get. I can appreciate. You know what I mean? You're letting them know, hey, you're safe, and you rock them. But just something about that, just hold on a second, come back in, and then keep going is just really fun to see, and it's different. And I really, really like it because it pushes that limit of catching, and it's not just the same thing over and over. Because I'm sure they do scenes like that because they've already have those motions, I'm sure, in like motion capture, they can kind of copy paste and then reskin it. Not knocking it. If you can save yourself some time and save a couple bucks, go for it. I mean, look at old Disney movies. A lot of the dancing scenes are the same. It's just rather than with cats, it's with foxes. But, you know, to see something different and kind of think outside the box or outside the car, right, is nice to see.
You know what I like, too, is, and exactly like you said, Michael Bay, he can make these gigantic movies for relatively cheap. So I bet you, he's like, do we have that? All right, okay, cool, just throw it in. Like, we're moving. Go, 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 go. I actually had to rewatch. I rewatched all 5 Transformers recently movies, and I counted the explosion, every single explosion in each of them. I know those movies frame by frame. It made me question my life. It really did. But yeah, you're right. This is one where it's they in 4 for Nicola Petz, the Bumblebee dives. One of the Transformers dives and catches her. Rose Huntington Whitley in 3, someone dives and catches her. This one, he gets sucked in. But you know what's the most impressive? Bumblebee blocks a tire from hitting Sam and then grabs Sam. So there's debris flying. Bumblebee has the wherewithal to knock the debris out of the thing, grab Sam, puts him back inside. And I like Shia LaBeouf's reaction, too, because he's screaming.
Yeah.
This happens to you and I. We're not just going to be like, oh, yeah, that was cool. Like, we're going to be yelling.
Catatonic. Yeah. Screaming to the point of passing out because we can't breathe anymore. And then just evacuating our bowels. At least I'm evacuating my bowels because there's your life. You go from I'm safe, but I'm scared because of the chase to I'm dead to I'm still alive. Because you're right about the tire. It's not just one. It's 2 tires. It's boom, boom. And then he gets them.
You know,
it's a 2-tire save.
Bumblebee's going to regret putting us back into his car because of what we just did.
Yeah. There's no amount of detailing to get that out of the leatherette.
Oh, gosh. But no, it's fun. And you're right. There's so many scenes like this in Transformers. So I think you picked out the best one. There's a lot of slow-mo in Michael Bay movies. This is good. I saw this one and I had a big smile on my face.
I'm glad.
You're going to, this one's quite quick, but I think there's layers to it. And it's filmed in ways that only Rennie Harlin can do. And I'm going to go with Cliffhanger. It's the scene involving Gabe Walker and Jesse. They're crossing a bridge, which is scary enough. You and I are hiking, up in the mountain ranges, and there's a bridge, just a rope bridge that we have to cross, and below us is just a deep crevasse with tons of alligators waiting to eat us because this is Indiana Jones or crocodiles because it's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But that's scary enough. Throw in a tripwire that he just walks into, and then the bridge explodes and they have to go to the other side and he jumps in slow motion with an explosion already blowing up behind him. And then he dives and then he jumps and grabs the bridge. No problems after that. It's really nice. He jumps and he grabs it. They don't have to worry about anything else. But then it cuts to a nice overhead shot that shows just how deep this cavern was that he would have fallen into. And I just think the Rennie Harlin economy of this scene where, I mean, it's everything in his movies. You get some slow motion, you get a big explosion, you get a good dive. I mean, Thomas Jane dives everywhere in Deep Blue Sea, so does Gabe Walker in Cliffhanger. So it's just a good slow motion jump to grab onto the other side of the bridge before he falls. And I like that Jesse makes it just fine. It's Gabe is the one who has to jump. So like Jesse's not a damsel in distress here. She makes it before him. And then he has to kind of jump and grab on. But I like it. It's a good looking scene. It's told well. The shots are good. I think it's beautiful. So that's why I picked it for my 3rd pick.
Yeah, and they really play up the distance across the chasm, the depth of the chasm, because it's filmed very much like in Les Samurai, right? When he's coming out of the tunnel and he's on that long walkway and he's just walking. They have that kind of long shot where it's like kind of hip up and they're just coming down this long, long bridge. And then that jump, and as he kind of lands, like you said, it cuts to really show the depth of that chasm. Like, it's nuts. And you know what, though? Think of it like this, too. He's got a lot of gear on him.
A lot of gear.
That should really weigh him down and kind of hold him back more than what it already does.
Yeah.
Rope ain't light.
No.
Mm-mm.
Trust me.
Rope ain't light. The Nick Rehak story.
That's your autobiography?
But a backpack, and there's half the world is in that backpack. It's not just granola bars. He's got carabiners. He's got ropes. I'm sure there's a canteen in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot.
Some soup, thermos.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever eaten a Cliff Bar while hiking or on a cliff?
No, but I have had a regular granola bar sitting on a log.
Okay, that's good.
I feel like I have had a Nature Valley bar in nature overlooking a valley. I feel like that counts.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
That's A+. What percentage of people have eaten Cliff Bars near cliffs? Like, not because they live close to one. Like
with the purposeful intent of, hey, I'm bouldering and or rock climbing today, and at some point I'm going to crank out the dark chocolate peanut butter?
Exactly. What percentage of people who eat Cliff Bars?
I'm going to say it might be high, but I'm going to say like 22%.
Whoa.
I think it's a lot more than what we think.
You're an optimist.
I really do. Yeah, I really feel that way. And I also think that there's a 7% of that 22% that
super eaters.
They get to the top, and then they're like, oh man, they you know what I mean? You rest your hands on your legs, you do the old thigh pat, and they're like, oh no. They realize the Cliff Bar's in their pocket, so they go back down a little bit in order to eat it and then go back up.
Yeah, smart. To eat it whilst on a cliff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to live that life. That'd be beautiful. But yeah, that's my third pick. So how about this? We got 4. You have 2. I have 2. But before we do that, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will finish up our list. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And I just learned that if you type in Cliffhanger, you learn about Stranger Things because they talk about cliffhangers. Just want to let you know that.
Yeah, because they kind of did like, hey, here it is. Psych, we got 2 more coming eventually. It's like, cool, thanks, Netflix.
Needed more Rennie Harlin action. If Stranger Things was directed by Rennie Harlin, so it would be 3 hours. That's it.
Yeah. And a lot of jumps.
A lot of jumping.
A lot of jumping in and out of the upside down.
That's Eleven's power. Not pointing at things and nosebleeding. It's her jumping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's the John Carter, but on Earth, and played by Taylor Kitsch, which would be really weird. But he was in The Covenant, which was directed by Rennie Harlin.
We bring it all back around to the beginning.
Stranger Things remake, Duffer Brothers.
Time is a flat circle.
I saw a screening of it, but Thor: Love and Thunder, there's an Event Horizon reference in it. That's not a spoiler. Just letting everyone know, because that's a great movie.
Okay. I'll have to keep an eye out for it. I'm seeing it Thursday.
Have you seen Event Horizon?
No.
Oh, it's so good, man. Paul W.S. Anderson, it's coming up on its 25th anniversary. Really good. Nothing slow motion, though. Beautiful film. I'm telling you.
You would think, though. Because old PWS, he likes his slow-mo.
Oh, he does. He adores it. I watched Mortal Kombat again. What a great final fight. I was showing my students the final fight in Mortal Kombat 95. I'm like, this is not so bad, it's good. I'm like, this is so good, it's good. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. Then we started listening.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Then we did the Venga bus, and we put on some jock jams and started dancing around the school.
You got to.
You
got to.
All right, so we're on our 4th pick. I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna jump ahead of you. I'm gonna pick.
Jump.
Okay. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. This is a wicked scene, right? You got Carlos. He needs his hearing aid. Freddy drops it down to him, but then it becomes a bug that makes his hearing super intense. He can hear everything. Cut to Freddy pulling a pin, because you can hear a pin drop. That's loud. He pulls a pin out of his finger, which is just a really wonderful and devious visual. Takes it, and he throws it down. The kid, and it sounds like a bomb dropping. It's like... The kid's covering his ears, and he leans out, catches it. 10 seconds, you see the pin dropping, but then Freddy, like a total jerk, drops about 50 of them, and it all ends badly. But it's just a very devious scene, just because of, first he drops the hearing aid, and it becomes attached to his ear, and then he pulls a pin from his finger and drops it, and it sounds like a bomb, and then he catches it. So it's a devious scene, there's good slow motion, there's good horror-ish moments to it, and it's just, I wanted to include a little bit of everything in my list. So far I've included... I got kind of a horror comedy, I have a straight-up comedy, then I have an action film, and now I'm doing a straight-up horror film. But it's a good scene because it has layers to it. There's 2 drops, there's 3 dropping parts, 1 really good slow-motion catch. I mean, think about that, Nick. A demon hearing aid has taken over your hearing. But you still have the wherewithal to catch a pin that's dropping. Yeah. Impressive.
It's very much so, because that screeching and screaming of those should just have you like kind of paralyzed and kind of, we talked about earlier, catatonic, kind of frozen in that fear and the anticipation of that big explosion. But like you said, to have that wherewithal to kind of let me get ahead of it.
And then Freddy cheats.
And
then
that's him. He always does.
He's such a dirtbag. Freddy, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, I think it has, like, if you put pound for pound best entries between Jason, Michael, and Freddy. If you look at the first one, and then you got Dream Warriors, then you got Rennie Harlin's Dream Master, and then New Nightmare, those four are quite a potent combo. If you looked at Jason, I mean, I like the Friday the 13th franchises most, but I think you can't put a top four that matches that. And when it comes to Halloween, you have H2O. I don't like the new ones. So I think based on quality alone, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise has the best, most, like, it's not the most enjoyable franchise, but I think it has the most, like, the best sequels. But I still don't like Freddy. It's controversial. I would watch Jason X over these any day of the week because it's a beautiful movie. But yeah, that's my thing. But I think it's a good pick. It's weird. I had a thought that I really wanted to do horror, and because there's a lot of slow motion in horror films, and then I found this and I was very happy.
Yeah, and it's, I don't want to say subversive, but it is a lot different than what a typical slow-mo drop in a horror film would be, which is great. And it's nice to have a horror entry in our lists, you know what I mean? And we're just not kind of in like the same thing, and then he catches this, and then he catches that person, then he catches that person. Like, it's nice to have something different.
We've had a baseball, a Mysterium Bowl, a pin, we've had rope, like a bridge, and then we've had people, and a ring.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't even got to the ring yet.
Well,
and then, and a person.
Eventually a ring.
Yeah, so we're crushing it. We're all over the place. And you got a different one coming up now that we haven't covered yet. Sorry, I'm just looking at my computer real quick, and there's a Sylvester Stallone's best scenes from Cliffhanger. It's only 13 minutes. It's a joke. It should be like 2 hours. Even though
I was going to say.
The movie's not even 2 hours. He doesn't
I
have
knew
2
right
hours.
where you were going.
Yeah, he doesn't even have 2 hours of screen time, but it should be 2 hours long. So hey, we've picked some really funky stuff so far. I just really dropped that odd cliffhanger thing, but you got a really fun one up next. That's going to be like we're going to add something new to the list of being caught that I'm excited for.
We are. We're going to catch a briefcase, and we're going to catch it
no.
in Airplane 2, the sequel. And I love this so much because it subverts everything. Right? You have this guy, he's being accosted, if you will. He's freaking out. He's got a bomb in a briefcase, and he throws the briefcase up in the air as he's being tackled. So you have the usual, it's in slow-mo, the briefcase is going up, everybody kind of panics and looks up at it. You have, while everybody's looking up at it and the briefcase is going slow, a guy looks and checks his watch, because we often have slow-mo scenes that go on a little too long. But what I like most is that the briefcase is in slow motion, but everybody else around it is not.
Yeah.
Like, they're in regular time. Like when the dog breaks away, Scraps, to run and catch the briefcase. Spoilers, he does. That's in, I guess, regular non-slow-mo time, but when he jumps to get it, that's in slow-mo. So the way they kind of slow-mo, not slow-mo, and again, the guy checking his watch, like, as soon as he checks his watch, that kills me every time, because he's so intent, and he's like, hold on real quick. Okay, and then he's back at it. Like,
24 seconds of airtime.
Yeah. And just a good-looking dog, too.
Great,
just a good
dog.
old boy.
What a good catch. And did you see the stickers on the suitcase?
Yeah.
Very inappropriate. Nagasaki, Pearl Harbor.
Yes, Tristan.
Oh, man. It's just such a...
It's so much.
Oh, man. And then
Hiroshima, like...
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
and I love the catalyst. I was going to introduce you this episode with this line, but I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's like, I'm not telling anybody that you were impotent.
Don't say that!
And then the suitcase goes flying in the air and everyone just watches it. I also love the build up too, because as he's walking up towards the guy, he has an entire group of people behind him who just group up around him, and then he moves forward quick and they all fall down. It's a fun
like bowling
scene.
Pits.
Yeah. It's a great moment. And I mean, to get that height on that spaceship with that, I mean, that's a big oh gosh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's a heck of a hang time. And then you can kind of see, too, like, the way it's designed. Like, okay, clearly the dog, like, jumped off the wall to get a little extra time. You can tell they're kind of holding the briefcase for the dog to get up and jump. So it's kind of, like, campy, but it's still really fun to like just that scene of how there's jokes within jokes within jokes. And I think the Zuckers have always done a really good job of that. When you look at this, you look at the other airplane, you look at Hot Shots Part 2, just,
Top Secret.
All the, just so much fun. Love Top Secret.
You know what? It's good. It's a good subversion of the tropes too, because everyone is laughing about how long it takes to get up in the air, and then the dog catches it, and then you have someone. You know what I like about this gag is they made stickers to put on that suitcase, which would be thrown in the air in slow motion. That's when I love movies, is when the art department goes that extra length to make that joke in the script work. And it's just a wonderful slow motion scene. It makes me so happy.
Nice and colorful and just really like designed well enough to catch your eye and to know like, and especially the way they're positioned on there, like, oh, I saw that one. Oh, I saw that one. Because when it came out in theaters, you're not pausing it to be like, hey, what projector, turn it back real quick. Like you have to catch it and see it when it happens.
I love that. That's the best part about watching those movies in theaters, because you think you catch something, but you didn't. And they go at you so quick. I wish I could have watched Top Secret in theaters during the train scene. When the platform starts moving. I mean, what a beautiful gag. Oh my gosh. No, but this is... Oh yeah, go for it. Sorry.
I was going to say, especially because back then you didn't get to pick your own seat. So when you get in kind of late, if you're on the far left, what are you seeing on the screen versus if you're on the far right?
Oh yeah. I worked in theater before the age of assigned seating. It was the nightmare. I used to have to go into the theater when it got packed. Like, okay, everybody, it's a sold-out theater. Can everyone please move to the middle and create seats? Like, so there's not one, and then I would just get stared at. I'm like, guys, please, we're not starting a movie until everyone gets in. It's going to be very awkward. I did it eventually.
It's always, and I was that person too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, should get out here sooner. But I'm like, no, it's not. Let's just make sure. And then I can even remember when they said, they were gonna start. You can pick your seat. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, that sounds terrible. Like, people should just get there on time. And then, like, I love it. I love it so much.
I don't have to watch. I don't have to watch trailers anymore. I just show up 15 minutes late, get my seat. The first time I ever experienced that kind of seating was in Korea. And I didn't realize it, and I was sitting down in a seat, and people came up to me and showed me their phone. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I'm so sorry. But there was like 8 people in the theater. But I wasn't trying to be rude. I just didn't know.
Yeah,
I was like, there's reserved seat? This is so classy. I remember thinking that. But Airplane 2. I love the first one. I love this one. Oh, the future. People are I remember, okay, real quick. I was in a subway in Seoul, and someone was streaming TV in 2008 on their phone while in a subway. It was just crystal clear.
In a subway?
In a subway. Like, not the restaurant. In, like, underground.
Sandwich? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Eating a hoagie. Really watching some great TV. Just noshing. But yeah, in a tunnel, they were streaming TV perfectly.
That's what's even more impressive.
I was like, this is next level. This is wild. And I learned that my students...
One day this is going to come to the States.
My punk students would put their phones in their pencil cases, and when I learned that, I made them turn their pencil cases like sideways, so it wasn't like looking right at them. They were sneaky. I let them do that during the Olympics though, because there's cameras in my class. So I was like, put your phones in your pencil cases, put them that way, so you can watch the Olympics and your parents won't see it. That's a long tangent. But yeah, okay. So, my last one. I think this one's quite epic. I think this is my newest one as well. It is my newest, because I went a lot of 90s in my list. Actually, I went all 90s in my list. Encino Man, Army of Darkness, Freddy's Dead. And then Cliffhanger. When's Freddy's Dead come out? Oh, 91.
91? Yeah.
So I went a lot, but my last one is the 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy, because they're on Xandar, and Ronan the Accuser has one of the Infinity Stones, and he's going to blow up the entirety of the planet. And as he's about to put his Infinity Stone to the ground, good old Star-Lord says, "Dance off, bro," and he starts dancing, crushing it. He tries to get Nebula to dance with him. She won't do it. He's still dancing. He calls him a turd blossom, which I don't get it. I've tried to visualize it in my head, but like I keep thinking of like a demigorgon, which is a really weird place to go to, thinking about a turd blossom. But I don't know what to think. But it's a 17-second scene. You get Drax shooting Ronan's kind of hammer with the Infinity Stone. It blows up. The Infinity Stone goes flying, and Star-Lord Phantom Camera does a dive, like a full-on dive to catch the Infinity Stone before it touches the ground. It is the most slow motion, I think, of all of our picks. Like Phantom Camera, like how many frames per second did it shoot? So it's just a good looking scene. You have a good dance off, bro. You have Ronan the Accuser. Like, what are you doing? Like, this guy, an almighty person with an Infinity Stone, is really curious as to why this little man is dancing in front of him. Some good humor in there, some good explosions, and a great slow motion jump and catch. So that's why I wanted to finish my list with this at number 5.
It's a great, and then even like, not to take away from the catch itself, but the moments after it where he's kind of in that purple tornado and they truly come together as a team, like is huge. And they like, I feel like in that moment they become the Guardians. But I love the Phantom camera. I love when it's like that slow motion. And they do like kind of different slow-mos too. Like you have that one, you have it cuts to Gamora, who's kind of like in a more normalized slow motion.
And she yells no, which you have to add no.
You have to have that, right? Yep. Is this the only one that has a no in it?
I think, yeah, we don't have any other no's.
Because in the airplane too, they just kind of look up. And no one really, vocalizes their fear and panic.
I mean, this is a throaty no that she adds. It's like, it's interesting. There's slow motion drops, there's slow motion tosses, there's bouquet tosses in slow motion. But yeah, this is the one where you get the loud no. It's beautiful. But yeah, Phantom. Listen, I had to get the Phantom in here. The first experience I had really thinking about the Phantom camera was Melancholia. At the end of the film, and I remember my wife and I were watching it, and we're just like, what is this? And we just immediately researched the camera afterwards and just researched the Phantom camera, because that's one of the most striking scenes I think I've ever seen in my life. So just researching that, seeing the frame rate, beautiful slow motion, wonderful.
Gorgeous. I remember seeing Melancholia at the 2011 New Orleans Film Festival, and when it ended, I've never seen this since. I've never seen it before or since. Half the room stood up and cheered, and the other half booed audibly and walked out, like muttering and like just out of anger. I'm like, what is happening here? Like, wow. Like, just
wow.
Whew.
Lars von Trier. That sounds right. That sounds right. Half and half. You know what's good about him? People don't walk out of his movies and go, it was all right. Like,
oh no.
They're like, oh my gosh, that was art, or I hate you. Like, that's when you know you have a good director.
Weirdly divisive. Yeah.
Very rarely, like, hey, I watched the house that Jack built. It was pretty good, It's pretty good.
Something to do on a Friday night if you're bored. You got some Chinese food.
Just order in and watch it, and then I put some NCIS on afterwards, and all those shows, and I just watched them. Like, yeah, you feel Lars von Trier. Yeah, you can't watch his movies and be indifferent. That's fun. That's a good story, man. I dug it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get accreditation to the Nashville Film Festival again this year. That'd be fun. I enjoyed it last year, yeah. Hopefully I'll have some
fingers crossed for you.
Hopefully I'll have some time to watch the movies. Because I was only able to review like 10 of them last year. But
out of how many?
A lot. But I had some things going on. So a beautiful baby being born. There's only so much Nashville and you can do.
Happens.
Yeah.
Happens.
All right, so what's your fifth and final one?
My fifth and final one, we've been talking about it and teasing it on and off. We went on our beautiful Urukai discussion early on. That's the ring drop.
Milton,
the birth of Milton. The ring drop at the Sign of the Prancing Pony in Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. They're at a bar. The Frodos, we're hobbing the Frodos. Frodo and the other hobbits, they are looking for Strider, and they kind of get mixed up. Frodo takes a slip on a boot. The ring gets launched into the air. He goes to catch it, but instead it kind of gets on his little fingy there, dances around, and then he's gone. So it's a finger catch, kind of a hook, if you will. And then it introduces us to, this is what happens when you put the ring on. It's borderline terrifying, because then you have the Nazgul just staring you down on their horses. And then, of course, you have the eye just like, hey, I see you, winking at you and being all creepy. And then, he gets pulled out of it, meets Strider, who we find out, spoilers, is Aragon. And it's a good time. It's a great developing. I don't know if developing is the word or not, but kind of. I don't know, it's a mesmerizing scene, and it also shows you the power of the ring, because Frodo's kind of like, I don't know, like it's starting to eat away at him a little bit. And he's starting to, and it's early on in the journey too. Like, it's almost a little too early on to be having these like thoughts and, burdens and everything, but he's out there and he gets it.
Milton wouldn't have lasted as long, but it's Milton's. But you know what I love too? Merry and Pippin are idiots. So you get the pint glass and they're all excited, but then he just starts running his mouth at the bar. Frodo runs up. You have, you know what? I've talked about bar scenes. We did this on Con Air, the podcast. This is a grimy bar that people are in, just drinking, spilling all over their beard. Like he got the grimiest people to be on this in this bar, but it works great. Just the look on everybody's faces when he disappears. It's good storytelling on multiple levels. You have this guy's an idiot. They're kind of in a world of danger. There's some paranoia involved. The way he's twirling the ring. It's just good storytelling. You know what's wild? Watching this movie in 2001, I knew about Peter Jackson, but I didn't know about Peter Jackson. But then you watch this movie and you're just thinking, this is one of the great, like, no, not hyperbole. In 2001, when I watched this, I was working in a movie theater, and I just remember thinking, is this one of the best movies ever made? And I don't care if that's like out there. I mean, I was watching this, I'm like, this is perfection. But just the care that he took into this fall and the slow motion and it going onto his finger and the focus on Elijah Wood's face, who can really hold a slow-mo shot. But yeah, just the beautiful ring, slipping on his finger, the Nazgul. Oh man! And then that allows Aragorn or Strider to act. It's good storytelling, good slow motion too. A lot of good slow motion.
Great slow motion and beautiful visually too. You know, when he's talking to the bartender or the barman who comes over, waiter, whoever to the table, and it looks over to Strider, and all we just see is his tobacco pipe light up, and it lights up his face. Like there's a really beautiful cat that they kind of sneak past for a little bit. Just this beautiful black cat with his little green eyes, just hanging out doing cat things. But yeah, this is a grimy bar. It's not like a cool local dive bar where it's like, yeah, the locals drink here, so we're going to drink here. This is like central Pennsylvania coal region. We just got done working 14 hours in the mine, and we're covered in coal and soot. So the floor and the walls and the table's going to be covered in soot. We're going to have a burger that's got chili and marshmallow fluff on it because that's who we are as people. And they're going to just have these flagoons of beer.
Yeah.
The old yings and wings.
So marshmallow burgers and Yingling just in there. And it's not one of those bars that you walk into and everyone's overjoyed. In so many medieval movies or movies like this, people in the bars are always going, having the greatest time of their lives. There are some people laughing in this bar, but it's mostly a serious affair. And I really like that about it. But the shot looks so good. That thing up in the ring. And then you think about Return of the King when Gollum's falling into the lava of Mount Doom, not Dhoom, not Mount Doom. You see the kind of shot of him grabbing the ring in slow motion again. So it's just perfection. It's so good. Oh man, this is fun. This was harder than I thought it was going to be, but I'm really glad that we did this.
You and me both.
Yeah.
And you know what? They were all unique. It wasn't the same thing over and over of damsel in distress or falling star or none of that stuff. It was just, and especially the Freddy dropping a pin, like that is wholly unique. You know, like that would have never crossed my mind.
I think of all of them though, your Airplane 2 is my favorite of this entire list.
Thank you.
Just because of the bit. They really work the bit. I think if I had to pick watching these 10 clips, my 5 favorite moments of all of these are when Ash gets the chainsaw stuck to his hand and everyone cheers. So like, yeah! Mm-hmm. The pin moment. And then I love your Airplane 2, just the stickers, because it's just so kind of, irreverent. I like the fake out that Tom Holland can't get to MJ. That makes me really smile. And then probably my reaction to hearing Turd Blossom again. I don't get it.
I'm with you. I'm for it.
It's too irreverent.
Too irreverent, you think? Turd Blossom?
I mean, what is that?
Not to get too graphic, but I think it's like the beginnings of a poop. You know what I mean? I think it's the opening, and here comes the poop. The turd is blossoming from your bodice. The undercarriage is letting out some of the oil. So
Ronan the Accuser is the equivalent of the beginning of a bowel evacuation.
Yeah, look at his face. You know what I mean? Like his face, he's got the I'm going to assume it's a type of war paint. It's been a little bit since I've seen the movie, so I don't know if they've addressed it directly or not. But you know what I mean? Like he's got that stuff just caked on his face, and it's not smooth. Oh. You know, it's not a solid paint job. Like, it is textured. It is a little bumpy. He's not covering up acne scars. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, it is aggressive looking and very dark, and it runs down his face in a way, you know, like, and his teeth are black and his tongue is black. His mouth is black. Like, there's a lot of just textured darkness on his face. And
he's a turd blossom.
Yeah. Old TB.
You learn something every day.
I mean, look at his face, like, especially when he's that look of confused on his face and you just see like the purple in his eyes. I mean, that gives it the most, especially like on his chin, how it's like kind of like just bubbled and dotted. Like, ugh, even saying it out loud is grossing me out.
No one could accuse him.
My tummy hurts thinking about it.
Before we get out of here, where can people find you, man?
People can find me on Twitter at the Rehack. People can find me over on the Exploding Helicopter podcast. Some of the most recent episodes, we talked about Samurai Commando Mission 1549, which was fascinating. We talked about the Teo movie, Mission Ace. It was a Korean animated film, and I had never known about that property before, and we learned about it, and we had a really good time. I've been on a handful of episodes of the Deep Blue Sea podcast, and, of course, my little program over on Mixcloud.com, the Rehack radio program. It's just called Rehack Radio, but it sounds cool to throw like the and program on there.
Yeah, put the in front of it. The Movie Songs on Flicks podcast. It's official. When are you doing t-shirts, man? When are you doing Rehack Radio t-shirts?
I don't know. I got the logo, so I could easily pop some t-shirts out. I mean, you got I don't want to go name them, give them free press, but there's plenty of shirts out there where you give them the design and you could pick like tri-blend or premium or soft or, and just get it going. But yeah, I got some real, I bet I could.
Put on a V-neck, man. I'll buy it.
Just a nice deep V.
Deep V. I mean, it's like, so it's more of like an unbuttoned shirt. The V is so deep.
The base of that V is touching his sternum. I know.
Hey, well, thank you so much for joining me, man. This was wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Nick Rehack, this is Movie Songs of Flicks. We'll see you next week.